So here we are for race 1 of round 8 of the Gloucester Bike Specialist Pit Bike Veterans class. James Mostiker has put himself on pole for this one with Steve Booth alongside him on the first front row of the grid. Booth will be looking for a better race than he had earlier on in the Stock 140s. We're going to have to do the grid quickly here because they're forming up. But Richard Rice is third, Andy Williams is fourth, then it's Julian Gromit, Howard Taylor, Gary Carter and Joseph O'Neill on the fourth row, and then the fifth row, rounding out the 10 bikes, is Steve Allen and Simon Chambers, although Chambers didn't set a time, and we're away already here. It's a good start from pole. Mostiker's going to be able to hold on to it, and Booth slots into position. Good start from the back there from Howard Taylor. He's looking racy here. Look out for his St George's flag themed helmet as he works his way up. It's 8 bikes I'm counting there. So we have got 2 non-starters as they work their way through. Howard Taylor chasing there, but Steve Booth is down to third, and I think that's Richard Rice has got by for second place there. This is the battle behind them. And here they are coming around to complete the lap.
As James Mostiker holds the lead from pole position. Up into second place goes Richard Rice. He's overtaken Steve Booth. Julian Gromit up 1 place into fourth. 2 places up for Howard Taylor in fifth. Gary Carter's in sixth. And down in seventh is Andy Williams. Not a great start for him.
Well, it was a relatively clean first lap, which is lovely to say. And here is your race leader, Mostiker, already trying to break away from the rest of the pack, setting decent pace on that first lap. Richard Rice, as you say, did manage to get the jump on Steve Booth in the lower part of the lap, but Steve Booth right behind him. There they are, and then you just saw Julian Gromit flashing into shot with the white colour, and he has Howard Taylor on his tail. As I say, Howard Taylor, I couldn't tell if he overtook well, he did overtake a few people off the start. So he's going to be one to watch. This is Steve Booth, though, who's actually now dropping back a little way from Richard Rice and is falling into the clutches of Julian Gromit. And Howard Taylor's not too far behind. There's not all that much field spread at this point, so critical to keep it clean and not lose too much time. There is Gromit on the 75 bike, setting decent pace here.
Yeah, Mostiker on his own out front, really. He's 2.7 seconds ahead on that last lap. I've got a feeling it's going to be a little bit more as he crosses the line this time. There he is, going across the start-finish. Let's see what the gap is now, back to second place.
Yeah, he's just churning out those fastest laps as Gromit having a little look at Booth there into turn 1. This is going to get interesting. Up the hill they go. It's a brilliant first complex, that chicane. It's like a little mini Eau Rouge, for want of a better analogy.
And then there's a downhill one on the other side of the track.
Yeah, this then the battle for third on screen, although it's pretty much a battle for second, actually, because they're still not that far off the back of Richard Rice, just ahead of them. You did see Rice in shot there, having a little look over his shoulder, but look at this. Gromit, has he got a run on Booth going into the lower part? Oh, nice and easily done. He just had so much pace down that straight, did Gromit. And Julian Gromit moves up to third place, ahead of Steve Booth.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see now if you can make an impression on Rice.
Yeah, absolutely. So Julian Gromit on a charge here. He hasn't dropped Steve Booth, still keeping himself in the fight there. They have slightly dropped Howard Taylor, though. He's a couple of seconds back from this. And then a couple of seconds behind him is Andy Williams, and a couple of seconds behind him is Gary Carter. Joseph O'Neill appears to have had some sort of issue, unseen on the cameras.
Steve Booth very close to the back. Not going to have a look into the second chicane, second hairpin. Apologies. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have as much pace down the straight, does it?
Yeah, well, we're going to see the difference here. Can Gromit get ahead? And it does look like he's just stretching it out towards the end of the straight. Steve Booth is strong generally. He may not have had his best day so far. We've seen him down in some of the qualifying sessions and also down out of the race in the Stock 140. So he's doing well to ride here as we pick up
James Mostica, our race leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Riding really, really well here. 56.066 is the fastest lap of the race and his fastest lap. And he's setting regular low 56s here. So really, really impressive stuff.
Gromit a lot closer on this lap, Howard. He's just coming into the second hairpin now. 10th or 2 in it at most.
Yeah, this is the battle over second place, challenging Richard Rice.
Going to drop back to the battle at second place just after this shot, I believe, as Mostica goes through that part of the lap. And here they come down the hill now. There's the gap between your second place and third place man, Richard Rice, and Julian Gromit. Gromit very close now, coming through paddock. Can he have a look at the inside? No, paddock is not the place to do it. But potentially into the first corner, he's going to get good drive off here. The difference between them is less than 3/10. No, sorry, just over 3/10, I should say. And up into McRae's now they go. Gromit all over the back of Rice. Booth trying to keep in touch with them.
Well, having overtaken Booth, Gromit could do Booth a favour here in terms of championship. Richard Rice is your championship leader within this class, with Steve Booth in second. Julian Gromit is in third, although way behind. So these are your top 3 in the championship fighting over second place effectively. You've got second place in the championship, second on the road. Third place in the championship, third on the road. Championship leader, second on the road. Third in the championship is fourth on the road, and fourth in the championship is sad. You know what? I'll revise that one, folks.
We'll get back.
I know what I mean. It's first, third, and second in the championship in second, third, and fourth respectively. There you go.
Boom.
Boom.
Gromit still all over the back of Richard Rice on the race, not in the championship.
This is the battle between Howard Taylor and Andy Williams, who's caught up to the back of him. This is the battle over 5th place as they head down to Iredale's hairpin, the second hairpin. Slowing it down, and it's a question of Taylor looking down at his bike there, or is he just ducking his head actually to try and reduce
to interrupt,
drag?
Howard. Gromit goes for second place down the hill, doesn't quite make it. Closer than ever though.
Yeah, well spotted there, mate. Battle for second hotning up here. Richard Rice is bike length ahead of Julian Gromit as they come around to finish this lap. Here it is, the battle over second place. Mostica has checked out on this one. He's 8 seconds down the road, but it's championship leader Richard Rice here in second, ahead of third in the championship Julian Gromit, and Steve Booth there on the 86 in the background is keeping them honest. He sits second in the championship standings. So there are championship positions being contested here as well as race positions, and as we said at the top of the stream, this is where we start to get to the sharp end of the championship, and Gromit got good drive off of that corner. Can he set something up into the bottom part of the lap? We know he's strong in this part of the circuit, but Richard Rice has got the measure of him there.
Watch him down the hill now. This is where he tried it last lap. I don't think he's close enough. There's been a change for 5th, by the way, as soon as we looked away from that.
Yeah, Andy Williams now past Howard Taylor.
We're going to have 2 screens side by side, aren't we?
We're going to need split screen,
battles.
although that might be a bit harsh on the camera crew. So the battle comes round to start another lap. We've got 3 laps to go. Mostica continues to set impressive lap times in the low to mid 56s, and he's the only one doing so. Booth has got closer on this lap though, and he's going for it on Julian Gromit up the inside of hairpin 1 of McRae's, and he looks to have got the job done. Does Gromit have a response? Yes, he does. Gromit has a response, but Booth is going to try again. Fantastic racing side by side here between second and third in the championship and third and fourth in the race. But again, Julian Gromit has the measure of Booth down the straights. His bike is just lightning quick down the straight bits, and he gets it back. Now, Gromit's been strong down the hill in the last few laps, so one would imagine he'll be able to pull out a gap, although Booth there is also strong. This is fantastic stuff, and you know what? Richard Rice isn't getting away from these two here. This is another one that looks good to go all the way to the checkered flag here between the three key protagonists in this class.
Yeah, I think Gromit and Booth are going to have to think about working together if they want to finish second place in this one, because Rice is only going to benefit from those two fighting behind him.
Yeah. Sorry, we're not talking more about the race leader Mostica, but he's doing such a dominant job at the front. And there is championship play here. Richard Rice is in second place. Then there's Julian Gromit in the white livery on the 75 bike. And then on the 86 is Steve Booth, the red X on the top of his helmet. Here at Rowrah, where we've already today seen some fantastic battling. Circuit now pretty much dry everywhere, apart from at the very bottom of this hill. And look at this, Gromit again having a think about it on Richard Rice, going down through the hill. Look at Booth also having a look. Oh, this is so close. Fantastic racing between these three.
Just to confirm, Andy Williams holding off Howard Taylor in fifth. He's managed to make that move stick.
Here we are then, we're on to the last lap. Mostica is ahead and up the road by 7.8 seconds. That gap has actually gone down very slightly here. This battle over second is setting really good pace, but Mostica is going to be able to hold on. These are the dying opportunities then for these three riders, or the two who want to get past Richard Rice. Rice looks over his shoulder, and well he might. There's so much pressure coming from behind. Breaks into hairpin one. No change there, but this is where Julian Gromit's been so strong all race long. Is there any opportunity? No, there isn't. Down the hill then is the other opportunity. We've seen both Booth and Gromit strong here. We've got to keep an eye on the final corner though. Mostica, it's not on there for Gromit. It was such a good try. Here's Mostica though.
It's very close.
Oh, and Booth has got it. Booth has got it on Gromit. Mostica wins. James Mostica takes the checkered flag just as Steve Booth made a dive for it. It's going to be Richard Rice to finish second. Steve Booth steals third place at the last from Julian Gromit. And Gromit finishes fourth. Well, he is going to wonder a case of what might have been there. That looked like an acknowledgement of respect from my point of view. That was really, and well they might, that was fantastic racing between those three all through the latter part of that race. Andy Williams, who we mentioned getting past Howard Taylor, he finishes fifth. Howard Taylor will finish sixth. And Gary Carter will finish seventh. Joseph O'Neill appeared to have some problems there, will finish eighth. And those were our eight riders. Well, yes.
Fantastic opportunistic move from Steve Booth there on the last lap. Just as, wow, Gromit had his front wheel alongside the back of Richard Rice's bike, and we thought he was going for it. But just as he pulled out of that gave Steve Booth the opportunity to snatch third place. Fantastic from all three of them.
Absolutely.
Not to mention our race winner, James Mostica.
Pit bike veterans then. Race number 2. James Mostica is on pole for this one. With Steve Booth alongside. Sorry, mate, were you after that?
No, sorry. You tuned me in, and I didn't have anything to say, but then I was like, well, I don't need to necessarily tune myself out.
Never mind.
I'll just wait until I've got something worthwhile.
Richard Rice is third on the grid. Andy Williams lines at fourth. Julian Gromit, he had a great first race. He starts fifth. Howard Taylor alongside on row number 3. Then it's Gary Carter and Joseph O'Neill on row number 4. Steve Allen starts ninth. Potentially with Simon Chambers on the back, but I don't think he's going to make the start, and away they go. It's a good start from Mostica again. Leads them up the hill. And I think we've only got 8 runners again.
Yep, Julian Gromit slides at the inside there. He's started further back, or dropped back off the grid, and is looking to make places up immediately.
So it's Richard Rice I can see in second place. Is it Steve? No, I've seen Steve. Anyway, here is Gary Carter, and then there's Howard Taylor towards the back of the field. They work their way down the hill for the first time and round paddock corner to finish the first lap. It is going to be James Mostica who leads across the line at the end of lap 1 then. Richard Rice is in second, Steve Booth is third, Andy Williams fourth, Julian Gromit in fifth, Gary Carter sixth, Howard Taylor in seventh, and Joseph O'Neill is in eighth. Those are your 8 runners in this one, just to confirm that. And just as he did before, James Mostica puts the hammer down and tries to get a gap out to Richard Rice and Steve Booth, first and second, of course, in the championship standings.
Yeah, Booth and Rice early had a fantastic battle with Gromit. James Mostica zoomed off into the distance, and we didn't have much coverage of him because we were too busy focusing on the battle for second behind him.
Well, Mostica will be looking to repeat exactly the same thing, I would imagine. Although if you do want your screen time, mate, I'd give us a wave about now. No, there you go. There is Mostica. Had a fast lap on the first one. This is going to be the first one unhindered by a race start, and it's a 55.6, which is some 0.6 of a second faster than Richard Rice behind him. He's doing everything he needs to do, but Steve Booth is struggling a little to keep with them here, at least in this opening salvo of laps. Andy Williams running well in fourth, Julian Gromit in fifth, Gary Carter sixth, Howard Taylor and Joseph O'Neill 7th and 8th respectively are the closest 2 on track. In fact, they're side by side heading towards hairpin 2. The rest of the field spreading out quite a bit. And Joseph O'Neill, I can see, has just got past Howard Taylor. This is Steve Booth in 3rd place and 2nd in the championship. He wants to try and get onto terms with Richard Rice here down the hill.
Yeah, keep an eye on their lap times, Howard. Let us know how well matched they are. Julian Gromit making moves fourth. Andy Williams currently holding that position, but I think Gromit will be on him in a matter of time. Yeah,
here they are on screen. What's Andy Williams' lap time like this time? What a time for my time screen to freeze. There we go. 57.852. It's 1.2 seconds slower than Julian Gromit. Gromit is on a charge here. Here is the battle at the back between Howard Taylor and Joseph O'Neill that was swapping hither and thither that last lap. Gary Carter just ahead of them. Howard Taylor adjusting something there on his bike.
The battle for fourth goes into the top end of the track. They are coming down the hill now.
Yeah.
Are we able to pick those
up? Julian Gromit lining up a pass on Andy Williams, and he's got the job done at the bottom of the hill, we can see. So 4th place has changed out there. We look though at Joseph O'Neill chasing Howard Taylor down the hill. Howard Carter discovered never mind.
Gary Carter's in this race.
Gary Carter's in this race. Howard Carter discovered Tutankhamun. Let's not go there. Howard Taylor. That was a mistake I didn't think would creep in. Right, Howard Taylor maintains his position ahead of Joseph O'Neill for 7th. Julian Gromit, however, as we say, has got past Andy Williams as Richard Rice sets a new fastest lap of the race at 55.480. He is trying to get on to terms with James Mostica, which is a lot easier said than done, as this battle for 7th place has now become a battle for 6th place because they've caught right up to Gary Carter here.
Yeah, I will say Rice's pace has been a lot closer to Mostica's in this race. Mostica at this point of the previous race was more than a handful of seconds ahead. Richard Rice keeping him within a second and a half, which is impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turn up his pace.
Absolutely. And James Mostica has responded with a personal best last time through. Pace at the front is impressive. Gary Carter, though, is taking a look over his shoulder because Howard Taylor is trying around the outside of paddock. Here is your leader on screen, James Mostica. And he's got 1.3 seconds in hand over Richard Rice.
He will have to step it up though if he wants to stay ahead of Richard Rice.
Yeah.
I quite fancy Richard Rice in this one. He's come back out for this second race with a bit more pace and gunning for Mostica at the front.
Yeah, Steve Booth having a bit of a lonely one so far in 3rd place. Although he may be joined by Julian Gromit soon, because Gromit is setting impressive lap times himself, just put in a personal best of 56.381. Fastest lap of the race. Oh, has just changed. James Mostica responds at 55.168. Keeps Richard Rice at bay. We're back with this battle over 6th place. Gary Carter leading Howard Taylor and Joseph O'Neill. Their lap times are so close. They're all in the mid-59s. And Howard Taylor having a look here through Paddock Bend, and he's got himself positioned nicely side by side. Coming on to the new lap. Look out for Joseph O'Neill. Gary Carter hangs on to it through the first chicane, but he's going to have a compromised line, and Howard Taylor comes through before they even get to the braking zone for hairpin one. Lovely stuff from Howard Taylor, well read. And is there a problem for Gary Carter? He's slowing. And Joseph O'Neill has got past him as well. Oh, goodness me, disappointment for Gary Carter at the back of the field here. He's having bike issues.
Someone who's not having bike issues, Howard, is James Mostica.
Absolutely.
Just as I started suspecting Richard Rice might have the pace to challenge in this race, he has responded with a couple of fastest laps and smashed out a 2.2 second lead. That should be just about enough to get him through to the end of this race if he maintains his current pace.
Yeah, and that's exactly how you control a race. Simply respond when you need to. There's Gary Carter not going full pelt by the looks of things. He stayed out. Something has gone awry for Gary Carter.
Perhaps he thinks it's something that will correct itself. Might have happened earlier in practice and switched itself on and off again.
Maybe. All the gaps then. Staying fairly consistent at this point with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, they're almost in formation at the minute.
Yeah.
Let's have a look if Gromit's closing on Booth.
Oh, Booth just hit a little patch of water. Starting a new lap. Again, their lap times are fairly close. This is Steve Booth in second place. James Mostica is currently coming around the bottom part of the track. Mostica, our leader, then heading down the hill, is about to put a lap on Gary Carter with his problems.
His bike seems to be
he does seem back up to speed, actually. I say with his problems. I mean, we suspect he has some bike issues.
He's a troubled man.
Yeah, and yeah, so Mostica starts a new lap again. How was that lap time? It's still low 55s. He's setting blistering pace.
3 laps remain. I don't think Gromit is still 4 seconds behind Booth, whether or not he's closed enough.
Yeah. Oh, on that lap he was quicker.
So, wow, I take another 2 seconds out and he will be on him with a lap to spare, Howard.
But it's not going down consistently like we saw with Gromit in the previous race.
Well, now that you
there
can see
is
the
your
back
leader.
wheel.
There is James Mostica coming around the bottom of the circuit. Coming down the hill now, and he, at the moment at least, appears to have everything he needs to hang on to this one.
At least we're able to give him the screen time he deserves in this race, Howard.
Yep, absolutely.
2 fantastic rides from him. Well-deserved shots of him circling the circuit. Out in the commanding lead of nearly 5 seconds now.
2 laps to go then for James Mostica. And 6.6 seconds the gap. We thought Richard Rice might be able to challenge here, but it doesn't seem to be. Steve Booth, though, has got pressure from behind in the form of Julian Gromit.
It does take nearly a second out of him there. 2 laps remain. If he does the same on this lap, he could be on for a last lap dash into 3rd place.
Absolutely, that's going to be the one to watch as we come towards the end. Steve Booth into hairpin 2 now, followed by Julian Gromit. Heading towards the bottom of the circuit now. Steve Booth coming down the hill then. Julian Gromit does look to be closer on this lap. They're at the bottom of the hill. They're going to come into... Oh, no, they're not going to come into shot. Heading towards paddock, they are. This is Gary Carter we're looking at the moment.
I don't think he's quite had a second out of him this lap, Howard.
No.
He may not, well, not be close enough. No, in fact, the gap's slightly extended. It's 1.4 at best.
No, it has gone down between the 2 of them, though. Not by much, but it's 1.3 seconds the gap. We're on the last lap of the race, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for the leader. We're looking at Richard Rice putting a lap on Gary Carter. Our leader, James Mostica, is coming down the hill now. There he is in shot. Coming into the final set of corners is James Mostiker. Looks over his shoulder, but he needn't bother. There's nothing to challenge this man today. Coming round Paddock Bend, James Mostiker takes the win in race 2. Stands astride his bike. King of the veterans class for today. It'll be 8 seconds before Richard Rice comes home in second place. That'll do for him in terms of the championship, at least, going forward. Steve Booth manages to hold on to third, but only by 0.8 of a second. Julian Gromit would probably have liked that one to go on from another couple of laps maybe. Andy Williams will come home in 5th, Howard Taylor in 6th, and then 7th will be Joseph O'Neill, and Gary Carter, after a few issues that slowed him down with the bike, will come home in 8th place. More lovely action in the Gloucester Bike Specialist Pit Bike Veterans class. And, well, that was one where we were treated to some good battling towards the back. And we thought we were going to get a battle for third. I'd have liked that one to go on for just a few more laps.
Yeah.
Just to see how that one would have gone. I'm sure Steve Booth doesn't necessarily agree, though. So let's take a look at what happened there. So it was another good start from James Mostiker. I thought Steve Booth, Steve Booth did lose out to Richard Rice early on. Then we saw this battle developing between Gary Carter, Howard Taylor, and the bike of Joseph O'Neill. They had good battles all the way through. Howard Taylor, in the end, coming home the best of them. But it was this man, James Mostiker, who held on in dominant fashion, as he has done pretty much throughout the day in that.